Okay. We are indeed live, I believe. Looks like we are. Anyway, welcome everyone to yet another edition of the 4GwQPodcast. I'm trying to find our tweet so I can retweet it, but oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, share this out on Twitter, people. Share it out on Twitter if you're in the room. Anyway, this is episode number 198 for February 21st, 2019. Didn't have an episode last week because I was whining and dining my lady, so I held everybody up. Sorry. But anyway, I'm Inferno217 as always. Speaking of more as always than me, we have making his 198th straight appearance. We have ZPCI Assassin. What's up, man?
Hi.
Jeez. Honestly, he's just gonna stay with that. It's just gonna be that high until 200. We get 2 more episodes, make some big changes on the podcast, and essentially the change is gonna be Assassin's new intro phrase. We also have with us tonight Italian Clowns. What's going on, bud?
Yo, what's up, everybody?
Nothing much, man. Getting ready to get into some of these topics. Excited to talk about a few of them. A couple of them I think are going to be pretty controversial, so nice to have a little bit of controversy, a little bit of, truthfulness on this podcast, should I say. Jizzle says we need a 4th person on YouTube. Yeah, we were supposed to have Lord Cognito, but he unfortunately, Lord Cognito from the Iron Lords podcast, obviously great guy, had him on the podcast, I don't know, like a couple months ago. And he was going to be on the podcast, but the problem was that he had a doctor's appointment that went a little late, so he wasn't able to be on. So it's just the 3 of us for tonight, but next week I think we can get him on, so look forward to that. Yeah, so this week we got some topics. We got some good topics. We got, Crackdown 3. Finally, we've all played it. A couple of the guys here have played it to completion, so we'll talk about campaign thoughts. Clowns has a review up on our website of Crackdown 3. It was posted today. It's on OpenCritic as well. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about not only the campaign, but the Wrecking Zone multiplayer, what we think of those. Talk about, of course, Metro Exodus. We'll get into a little bit of that. I got the opportunity to play a few hours of that, and so far so good on that thing. It's more than just the graphics, so happily we'll discuss that, and I'll happily recommend it. So far, at least, I've only gotten like a few hours in, maybe like 4, but we'll get into Assassin's most heated topic of the week, which is the Call of Duty loot boxes, which were always a thing, but now are rearing their nasty head in a different way, and Assassin will get into all the details. We'll talk about a few other things, like Just Cause 4 just got some updates that didn't fix what people were complaining about, so we'll get into that. And, of course, Anthem and the shit show that is that game. And whether we see that game actually taking off and succeeding, or whether it's actually just, a dumpster fire. But before we get into the topics, let me just mention we are a TIC affiliate, the Inner Circle Network affiliate podcast. Some awesome podcasts on there, especially I shout them out pretty much every week, but the original Next Level Gaming podcast, which is on Friday nights, 9:30 p.m. on Twitch. Find them. Good podcast, good group of guys. We got to get one of them or multiple of them on the podcast at some point soon. But happy to see the chat room filling up right now. Appreciate you guys dropping by. Please share it if you can. And of course, if you like what we're doing, give us a thumb up and hit that sub button. We've gotten a lot of subscribers recently, so thank you guys for doing that, of course. All right, let's get into the first thing. Crackdown 3. So obviously Crackdown 3 has been out for a little while. We haven't had really a chance to talk about it in depth because either some of us hadn't played it, or I had to go away, not go away, but go out for Valentine's Day, so we didn't get to talk about it last week. But we finally all played it quite a bit. Reviews are out, not very good. Obviously, as you can see here, they're at like a 63 on OpenCritic. People online saying that it deserves a higher score. Some people say it deserves a lower score. Some people are judging it based on what it was supposed to be and not exactly what it is. But we have the man with us this evening, Italian Clowns. I'll let him go first on this because he did write a review for us. He played this quite a bit. And, man, just take it away. Tell us what you thought of the game. Did it live up to expectations, that sort of thing?
Well, first I want to be honest here because I went into this with low expectations. I was not a fan of any of the past Crackdowns, never played them. So I went into this thinking that it was completely like a mediocre game. I felt that some environments in the game could have been more detailed. That the buildings didn't really stand out. The cars didn't have a lot of variety, stuff like that. But after you start playing through the game, you'll notice that a lot of the objectives are repetitive. But it's no different than playing like an Ubisoft game with repetitive checkpoints or towers, etc., stuff like that. And I couldn't see why Crackdown was getting knocked around for it. And after playing it, beating the game, I find myself going back to it like 3 hours a day, just collecting other stuff. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. My review went from a 6.5 to a 7.0. I did not really include the Wrecking Zone in this review. This is more based on the single player and co-op with friends for the campaign. The Wrecking Zone is still a mess to me. If I had to rate that separately, that would probably be about a 4 out of 10 on that one.
We'll get into the Wrecking Zone in a second. Let's just stick to the campaign for now because I think that's a good place to start. But go ahead.
Yeah, so my review on the campaign is a 7 out of 10 because there's not a lot of games I go back to and play, but Crackdown 3 has been one of those lately where I've just been going back to it.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I like it. There's not a lot of substance, right? But it is a lot of mayhem and a lot of fun. Obviously, it's nothing like too crazy. It's exactly what I would expect from a Crackdown game. It's not, it doesn't take next gen leaps and bounds, so to speak, but it is a lot of fun, and isn't that what we look for in games these days? I think that it is quite repetitive. That I don't like about it, but it is kind of one of those games that, like you just said, Clowns, and I agree with you, something you can kind of drop back into and enjoy here and there. Come back to play like an hour and a half, drop out, play something else, come back, play another hour and a half, hunt down orbs, and just like create absolute mayhem. And I think for that it's enjoyable, but kind of lacking on unique content throughout the entire game, from what I've played so far at least. And Clowns and Assassin have beaten it, and I think they agree, right? Assassin, you agree with that too?
Yeah.
Nice. That's all he's got. Yeah.
Well, there's also some other stuff to this game that I thought was pretty intelligent that they did. I like the way that they did, even though it's not like a full story. I like the premise behind what this game is about: corporations enslaving humanity to an extent, forcing us to work to live, kind of like the real world. I think it was like a diss at how things are going, in a sense. And then also, I liked a lot of the cutscenes. I found the comic book style art and panels refreshing, and I don't see that in a ton of games these days anymore, so I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, people will... What are the games that come out these days? Like battle royales and multiplayer only things, and, a lot of people wanted... when they're calling for single player experiences to come out, they're like, oh, I remember the good old 360 days where we got single player experiences left, right, and center. And now a game comes out that feels like a 360 release, in a good way and in a bad way. And, all of a sudden people are bitching that it's not enough. It's like, you can't have your pie and eat it too. I feel like, Microsoft can't win. Can't win if they do, can't win if they don't. I mean, it's not necessarily just a Microsoft thing, but they essentially created something in the campaign that, albeit wasn't supposed to be the star of the show, but now the game comes out and we got what we got, so we got to rate it based on that. And, it's something that Crackdown fans were calling for, and I think that for Crackdown fans, it's exactly what the doctor ordered. So for that, it's a win. But for people who aren't, huge Crackdown fans, like somebody like Assassin, who I'm going to let take over from here, maybe it was a big letdown, right, Assassin?
Well, see, I didn't like the past Crackdowns, right? I don't even think I played two. I played one. I don't think I played it much. But, like, the first few hours of Crackdown 3, I had some fun. And then just, as I just, started figuring out everything is super repetitive. I found one of the most OP guns in the game, like, 2 minutes into the game. So I didn't have to, like, swap out my inventory whatsoever because I just kind of blew through the game. I didn't find it like challenging at all. I should have raised the difficulty, but I don't think you could do that mid game. I don't know. I didn't even try. And I just halfway through, I just wanted it to be over, so I plowed right through it, and I beat it. I collected a bunch of orbs. I did, I didn't do the races. I thought that was just a waste of everyone's time. And
see, I thought the races were compelling, actually. I mean, not the road races. I think the driving is terrible, but like the ones on the rooftops, I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Well, see,
I thought it was fun too.
I think a few of them I found fun, but then like I've had a problem like with the platforming, like when like sometimes I don't know if you noticed this, but like when I was trying to do those towers or whatever, and you're trying to grab the ledge, it's like sometimes very inconsistent on when he wants to grab the ledge or not.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you have to jump from getting off the ledge to make it quicker than him pulling him up. Sometimes when I push forward on the joystick, he won't actually go forward, or when I tap to jump and he'll go for it, but he'll go forward too much, and I'll go, over jump it, and I just felt it was so inconsistent with that type of thing, and I don't know. After I beat the game, I quickly uninstalled it. So
I'm ashamed, assassin, that you did that. I'm going to be completely honest here. Our buddy Andy installed Crackdown 3 because he's got Game Pass, and I went back and I played co-op campaign with him, and I'm having a lot of fun. The only thing that I feel is kind of left out of this, and it's not really explained, or if it is, I haven't seen it explained well, is that if you do a co-op campaign, even if you choose a different world save slot, chances are you're going to lose yours. That's what happened to me, but I still had my agent stats, so I went into his game fully buffed as an end game agent, and I'm just like creaming through the game for him. He's like, yo, take out this metro station. 2 seconds later, done. I'm having fun doing it, but I'm not sure it's going to be fun for everybody at the same time. But it's just a shame, assassin, you uninstalled it. You could have gotten in on all this greatness.
yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. The one thing I think Crackdown did really great was the HDR. Now that, with all the greens and explosions, that looked real nice.
Yeah, I thought the visuals in general were pretty good. I mean, it's nothing like realism like we're going to talk about with Metro Exodus, for sure. But I mean, I thought for what it was, I thought the visuals were plenty sharp. I thought the colors were nice, like you just said. And, if you listen to experts on the matter, like the analysts over at Digital Foundry and other places, they say that the HDR implementation is actually some of the best of this gen has to offer. And it's a game that, is cartoony and quote unquote cell shaded, if you want to call it that. I wouldn't even call it necessarily cell shaded, so to speak, but at least it doesn't look like a stereotypical cell shaded game does in my mind. When I think of cell shaded, I think of like almost like Borderlands or Cell Damage, like from back in the day, or like Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Future and stuff like that. Way more cartoony than Crackdown, but I think the darks, the contrasts are executed so well in this game that I just think that it is a visual delight. And like I think Samuel Tolbert from Tick in the YouTube chat said, from what he played at E3 2017, definitely benefited visually from the delay. So I mean, I agree with that from when I played E3 as well. I mean, the delay really helped boost the visuals, and I think videos came out from E3 and people were kind of down on how it looked, and then the game finally comes out, and I think, for all intents and purposes, I think it looks really good. But let me see. Let's go to the YouTube chat a little bit more before we move on to talking about Wrecking Zone more in depth here. The Jizzle says you shouldn't inflate your review because other games are similarly mediocre or because it's included with Game Pass. 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Now, when it comes to whether or not you should play it, like say a game is like a 6.5, okay? Clowns was going to give this game a 6.5. He gave it a 7, right? I would put this I put the campaign around a 6.5 or a 7, right? Probably around a 7. You know, same as Clowns here. But am I going to pay $60 for a 7? No. But unless I'm really into the game. Now, if I'm really into the game and it comes out as a 7, like say, for instance, if Rise Son of Rome had a demo and I played that demo and then it came out and it was a 7, right? The reviewers gave it a 7. I think it actually got lower, right? Rise Son of Rome, I think, got lower. But, like, in that instance, if that game were 60, I would have bought that in day one. Like, if I knew that I liked that game that much, I would have bought that day one. But for a game like this, you know, you're more inclined to drop, you know, $1 for a month of Game Pass or $10 for a month of Game Pass and play it and play a 7 than you are to play a 7 if it's 60, right?
Yep.
That kind of makes sense. So, in that regard, I think because it's on Games Pass, it should get more of a play than it would if it were $60. But I agree with you in the first point, Jizzle. And what do you guys think of this? I want your guys' opinion on this. The Geeky Nerd says Microsoft saying it would be a pillar like Gears or Halo didn't really help curb expectations. So, do you think that actually Microsoft continued that? You know, initially, I think Microsoft was all about that. The Crackdown 3 was going to be a pillar like Gears or Halo, right? But as it got closer to release, do you think Microsoft kept that tone, or do you think they kind of knew the writing was on the wall and didn't advertise it as much? Because in my opinion, I think Crackdown really saw like a huge decrease in advertisement and didn't get a lot of publicity as much as it did initially.
Yeah, the advertisements, especially like launch month, seemed to be gone, and then the game came out, and then Terry Crews is like everywhere, right? So
yeah. Now, oh, go ahead, Clown's good.
I was just gonna say, and I'm not sure, I might be diverting a little bit off topic, but you mentioned Terry Crews and the advertisements. I feel like that Terry Crews didn't live up to the hype in this game. I felt like they didn't really give him enough lines, or he just didn't get paid to say enough lines. I don't know what it came down to, but I felt like he could have been more in your face than he actually was. At least that's what the previews made me think it was going to be like, and it was not like that at all. And the other thing, too, is that I was really disappointed on the marketing because they really made it sound like it was going to be a very fun co-op multiplayer experience, you know, with a couple friends, just going to hop in, have fun. And the multiplayer is definitely not finished at all. And Salty makes a great point in the chat where he said that it should be $30 because it's half a game. He's absolutely correct. I mean, it's the single player campaign is great. As 7 for me. I had fun with it, but he's 100% correct. They advertised this thing with proper multiplayer. It wasn't there like they said. And, I mean, that shoots it down to $30 for me.
Yeah, before we get into the multiplayer, we'll get into that in literally a minute here. But one thing I want to say about what you said about the co-op, and people are, and you said you were playing co-op a little bit with Andy, Salty in the chat saying he was playing co-op. I know a lot of people who experienced this game in co-op. Now remember that the game was promised initially to feature 4-player co-op. They downed it to 2-player co-op, and I think that affected a lot of the reception of the co-op because, geez, how many times can I say co-op in 1 second, right? But I think that really downed the reception of it because, you know, imagine this game with 3 other friends versus 1 other friend. You know what I mean? Imagine the destruction. Imagine if they had, like, you know, triple the enemies or something on screen, so it was just, you know, ridiculous mayhem. Imagine if the destruction in the campaign were a little bit more fleshed out, you know, kind of like, not exactly like the Wrecking Zone they wanted it to be, or not like the Wrecking Zone is now, but let's say the destruction in the campaign had a little bit of impact on how you played through the story, and you were able to take 4 guys or gals into a co-op session. I think that would have been a huge win, and I think that totally would have changed how it was reviewed. But 2-player co-op, for me, not too exciting, not nearly as exciting as 4-player would have been. What do you guys think about that?
I thought it was 4-player. I didn't realize it was 2-player co-op until you said it. I'm actually shocked, to be honest.
Clowns?
Yeah, I think if it would have had the 4-player co-op that you mentioned, I think it would have been really OP because it's like in the co-op campaign, I could be halfway across the map, Andy somewhere, and I already charged the tower with my Endin Baron superhero agilities and defeated a boss like in seconds, and he's still cruising around the map, getting killed by lockdown. So I can imagine like 2 or 3 other players that are just beating the game and OP, helping out a friend, how fast this thing would be finished for them.
Well, they could just scale it, like if you have 2 players, scale the damage or, damage you take and the health of the enemies, and 4 players up it more or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's what they're saying, or that's what a lot of people are saying, right? Is that, this controversy online about, it was reviewed poorly because they didn't have the difficulty up high enough. Well, I think playing in co-op doesn't necessarily make the game harder, from what I've heard. Playing in co-op doesn't, like you just said, it doesn't like scale the enemies at all. I feel like it's just like throwing more people into the kind of like the same game and just makes it a little bit easier on everyone, which if I'm playing 4-player co-op, I want it to be like triple, at least like triple the normal enemies, or make the enemies take a little bit more damage or something. But, I'm all right with bullet sponges to an extent, but I feel like the co-op, we didn't really get that. I feel like the co-op was just like, a little bit of icing on the cake. They didn't really flesh it out as much as they intended to.
Graphic God said somebody's audio is low.
I heard that, but it doesn't look low on my meter. He's probably talking about my audio. My audio is definitely the lowest out of everyone's. Let me see. Well, while I fix that, why don't you guys talk about what you guys thought of Wrecking Zone? I know you guys already mentioned it.
Man.
Oh, he's talking about Terry Crews in the game. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with that as well. I mean, he's not... Before we get to the Wrecking Zone, hold on. We'll address that really quick, the Terry Crews thing. Terry Crews in real life is like busting through a brick wall, like flexing his chest muscles, like screaming and everything. And in this game, he's just so tame, other than like the first cutscene and stuff, It's just like... I feel like they just milked him for his marketing cred, versus actually include him in the game.
Yeah, it seemed like Microsoft gave him like a page of just words to say, not front and back, just one-sided page of words he had to say, and half those words were like the first 5 minutes of the game. It was just, I don't know. That's what I think.
I agree. All right, with that done, let's talk about the Wrecking Zone. Let's keep this to like 5 minutes here so we can move on, because the Wrecking Zone is, as people have suggested in the chat, an absolute abomination. Now, Clowns, I know, you were expecting it to be a little bit better. I don't know if Assassin expected it to be better. I don't know what Assassin expected, but I know you were expecting it to be better. Is Wrecking Zone something? I know you said the campaign is something you'd come back to over and over, but you feel that way about the Wrecking Zone, Clowns, or you feel a little bit differently?
No, I feel differently about the Wrecking Zone. The Wrecking Zone is... I think it's a visual frustration for me, because I feel like there's one color everywhere, and it's so hard to figure out sometimes what's going on. I mean, your guns will lock on to your enemy targets, of course, but it's just ridiculous how you could jump around, stay locked on. And I mean, you've seen it in the matches that we played in Inferno, where somebody would be above us and they're just locked on, or we're above them, like 3 buildings higher, and we're still locked on to them. It just, I don't know. It just seems kind of off to me that it does that. I think the buildings should break that kind of line of fire and line of sight. Doesn't make any sense. And I know they try to say, oh, it's just a simulation, so, it's no big deal. But, I mean, it definitely changes the perspective of the multiplayer and how it interacts with each other and works together.
Yeah, I mean, oh, man, it's like... It's totally different than, I hate to grade this on what we were promised versus what we got. I want to really just stick to what we got. But we saw what was promised and how awesome that looked and leveraging the power of the cloud and all this. And it's just crazy how, what we got is just so weak. It really is. And who knows why that is? Who knows if, they kind of had to scramble to fix this thing after, what was the company that was making it that got bought out by Epic? Oh my God, what was the name of it? Somebody remind me in the chat if you know. Please, somebody in the chat, type this. But the company that was making the multiplayer got bought out by Epic, so Microsoft lost the utilities and the rights to the original Crackdown assets, or the original Crackdown engine almost, and so they had to kind of build it. CloudGen, thank you, Sam Tolbert, yeah. So so when they lost the CloudGen, that kind of maybe threw them for a loop, and this was kind of the product of just a little bit of development time. I mean, this thing was in development for what, 5 years? Something like that. And that Wrecking Zone is not 5 years of development. I'm sorry. That's not. So that CloudGen must have thrown them for a loop. Because, Sam Tolbert saying Elbow Rocket had to reverse engineer what they could. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they kind of had to start over for the most part with this Wrecking Zone. I think that was a huge kink in the Crackdown armor, and I think, who knows what we would have gotten, but what we got now is trash. I mean, it's just not good. Frame rate's terrible. The lock-on's too efficient. Like Salty said in the chat earlier, and I experienced the same thing. Entire matches where you just fall through the floor. A lot of OP elements, like the rocket launcher, I think is extremely OP. Salty says one of the worst multiplayer experiences I've ever had. Now, have you played Watch Dogs multiplayer? Right, Assassin?
Oh my God. 2 frames per second for the first 3 months.
Hey, but it was fun.
I think we had more fun playing 2 frames per second racing multiplayer type thing than we had fun at all in Crackdown 3 multiplayer.
Dude, Crackdown 3 multiplayer, I had more fun in Crackdown 3 multiplayer doing 3, 2, 1, go in order to get in the same match than I did actually playing the game.
Yep.
Yeah, the matching game was kind of fun in Crackdown. And it really kind of threw me off too that it seemed like not a lot of people were playing Wrecking Zone because we got matched up almost all the time.
Yep, it was very easy to get matched in. I mean, to have me, Clowns, and Assassin go 3, 2, 1, go over Xbox Party Chat and be put on the same team, multiple, I think we did it a couple times. That doesn't bode well for how popular the thing is. Supersonic Station says they should have canceled Wrecking Zone and used those resources for the co-op campaign. Yeah, well, the problem is that the Wrecking Zone was supposed to be the star of the show. Up until even launch, what was everyone talking about was the Wrecking Zone. Everyone was talking about the power of the cloud. I mean, there weren't any story leaks. There weren't any, there wasn't anybody covering the game, being okay, well, this is what you should expect in the story. Ooh, it has this compelling storyline. Ooh, this villain, blah, blah, blah. It was all about the multiplayer.
Well, to be honest, there wouldn't be any story leaks because they would actually need story to leak.
Oh baby. Yeah, exactly. I mean, man. The thing is that I think that they didn't have a focus on this. The focus changed so many times. They just didn't have an identity. I feel like Crackdown just doesn't have an identity. Wrecking Zone is no good, and Campaign is a shell of what it could have been because Wrecking Zone was supposed to be the star of the show. So, is it fun? Yeah, I recommend it if you have Games Pass, but I know some people in the community swear by their physical copies and they supported the game through and through with a $60 purchase, but I would not at all recommend 60.
Don't pay 60 right now. It will drop in price. I mean, no matter what, it's really not, it doesn't feel like a complete game, I should say. It just feels like a fun single player, throw yourself in there a couple hours here, a couple hours there, go back to it, get achievements. It's fun for that, but not for a $60 title equivalent to the hours of like Assassin's Creed or an Ubisoft game. No way.
Yeah, definitely not. Not enough content, not enough good content. And unless you're a Crackdown fan, unless you're a fan of this kind of gameplay, you're not gonna enjoy it. You're not gonna like learn to love it like you could with a Gears or you could with a Halo story. It's not like if you're a first person shooter fan rather. It's not like you're just gonna learn to love Halo, or if you're a third person, action fan, you're not gonna learn to love like Uncharted or Tomb Raider. It's not the same situation. You have to really, really like this style of game. This niche. So if you have Games Pass, you definitely should play it though. The achievements pop left and right. It's worth it for that. But yeah. Salty says he's glad the game is 2 files. Lets him delete the multiplayer. Yep. Perfect. All right, let's move on. In the interest of time, we're done with Crackdown. We spent like a half hour on that. So about 15 minutes too long, but whatever. Let's go on to the next thing. The next thing is Anthem. And speaking of disasters, so this thing launched, quote unquote, last week with EA Access and with Origin Access.
And Origin Premiere
and Origin Premiere, yep. And Origin Premiere actually got the full game a week ahead of time. So anyone saying that the game hasn't launched yet, I don't agree with that. I mean, I'm not gonna say you're an idiot for thinking that, but I'm gonna say I don't agree because, the full game was out on Origin Access or Origin Premiere. You could access the full game. It wasn't a 10-hour trial. It wasn't a demo. The full game is out, so any reviews that come out based on what was out is fair game, I believe. This day one patch that happened yesterday, that should have been out day one, like real day one. Shame on them. Shame on them for not having that ready, because if they did, then they would have been fine with this, but they didn't have it ready. So, we've all played it. We all have EA Access. We've all tried a little bit of it. And the shame of it is that the gameplay is actually is pretty good. Like the verticality, the shooting, some of the like chaining and comboing of attacks and supers and stuff like that. Actually really cool. But then, man, it's just a short game, and it just is kind of lifeless. No, what did you guys think?
Oh, I think the mission structure is just awful. There's only 3 types of missions. You defend an area, you put something into some place, like the orbs into those pools, or you just kill a few enemies. Right? That's the 3 missions, and that's the whole game. So it's like BioWare didn't look at Division 1 and Destiny 1 and see their problems and then build off of that. Like now they're just creating their own Destiny 1 in a way. It's just sad. It's just really sad.
I agree. I think this game had so much promise, and it just reminds me of Destiny 1 in so many ways. And I know a lot of people, like the guys of the Iron Lords podcast, right? They kind of like made their entry into this community that we have. I mean, they've evolved so much since then. Great group of guys. But when I first met them, like 3 or 4 years ago, when I first met some of them, like Cognito and those guys, they were all about Destiny. Like Destiny was their game. Destiny was their podcast topic. Destiny was what they talked about. And those guys have played like every looter shooter probably there is. And those guys, I trust their judgment when it comes to looter shooters, and they even hate the game. And they're playing on PC. They're not even playing on Xbox or PlayStation where the game runs like trash. They're playing on PC. So it's just, it's not good. And I've posted here on the slide that we have up right now, some reviewers and some industry members here. We got John Linneman from Digital Foundry, Jason Schreier. Everyone already knows who he is. And this guy that I watched, Skill Up reviewing, Skill Up, right? He's great. Go follow him at Skill Up YT. He posts awesome reviews and he has awesome opinions. And him in particular, he said, "I've been cheering Anthem for 3 years, wanted BioWare to succeed. The end result, though, is a product that repeats every mistake made by every looter shooter to date without any of the BioWare magic that might have redeemed the experience." Yeah, when I play this game, I don't even know how BioWare even was part of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't remind me of Mass Effect at all. It doesn't have any of the charm of like that individual, like character to character relationships or any of those kind of like deep relationships you get from a Mass Effect game. Like you go to, what's the tower called, Tarsus or whatever, you go to that and you talk to people, they're like lifeless, they're dead. I don't think like they're animated well, but they're just not, they're not as full of personality as a typical BioWare game. And it's kind of like, you know, do this, come back, do this, come back, do this, come back, do this, come back. There's no, you know, you can't like really chain, at least from what I played like 5 hours of it. You can't really like chain like missions, you know. They don't really chain. It's like do this, come back, like you were saying, Assassin, a little bit. Do this, come back, do this, come back, do this, come back. It's just so monotonous, and I don't think it's redeeming at all. I think it's very broken, and you know, blame it on the fact that it's quote unquote early access, but I don't believe that. I think the game should be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys heard, but there is that stupid mission. It's like somewhere in the middle where you have to go find some tombs, and then to get into the tomb, there's like all these like challenges you have to do, but they don't track if you're with people. So people can steal your progress and you won't get the progress, or you know, the other way around, and it takes hours to do. And it just kind of ruins the entire flow of the entire game.
Yeah, so if you're in a group, right? So if you're in a group and you're joining somebody for their mission, like say in Borderlands, right? Say you do a Borderlands mission, especially in Borderlands 2. If you're where I've played a lot more of Borderlands 2 than Borderlands 1, I'll tell you that. Like in Borderlands 2, for instance, you go on a mission with 3 of your buddies, and the mission is to collect like skag parts or whatever, or to collect, you know, vials of blood or whatever it is, or fangs, or all these like obscure things. If one person collects it, they all get it. But in Anthem right now, and they said they're gonna fix this in fairness, but for right now, I mean, you collect it and the other person doesn't get it, so you're screwed.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, how can you not think of that? This game has been in development since apparently Mass Effect 3, right? Not even Andromeda. Like, this game apparently has been in development or in pre-development since Mass Effect 3. And you don't think of something like that? And you produce a story that has, like, essentially 12 hours of content? Come on, man.
You know, I don't even know what to say about Anthem. I wasn't really hyped for it in the beginning anyway. And I felt like it was kind of going to be like a bad take on the Destiny craze, the looter shooter kind of thing. What I really do miss, though, and I think BioWare probably didn't have the chance to do this, is actually put their magic and their story ideas into the game. It just feels kind of rushed to the market just to sell it as a looter shooter.
But isn't that crazy? I mean, I agree with you in a lot of regards on that. I think it does, a lot of things do feel really rushed, but I think it's crazy that this thing has been in essentially pre-development since Mass Effect 3 and has been like really in development for the past 3 years. I don't know how a game like this is quote unquote rushed. You know what I mean? Like, how many more years did it need to make it to what it needed to be? You know, how many more years do they need to come up with like genuine story progression and like chaining missions and less fetch quest stuff? And like, what does a game like this need? Like, what do you guys think this game overall like needs in order to like take it to the level where it would be like the best looter shooter?
90% less loading screens would be nice, or at least to start.
Well, one thing I heard Assassin complain about before, and correct me if I'm wrong, Assassin, I might have this a little bit off, but you were annoyed by the fact that you couldn't change loadouts and stuff during your missions. Like you had to go back
Oh my
to your.
god, yeah, that is pathetic. You start a mission or you're in free roam, you can't change your loadout. You have to go through a loading screen to get back to Fort Tarsus, then just to go through another loading screen to go to the forge, just to get to another loading screen to exit, to go through another loading screen to go to your mission.
Have you checked out the day one patch at all?
I downloaded it. I haven't played it. I was kind of saving my hours for like the full game to release to get some more people in, but I mean, I don't know, with all the repetitive nonsense going on, like it's kind of just pushing me away.
Yeah, I think that I think the day one patch is it solved a lot of the loading problems. Like it's not like there isn't a loading screen still, but a lot of the loading times have been decreased from what I've heard. I haven't gotten a chance to try it because I've been stuck at work yesterday and today quite a bit, but I will be trying it tonight or tomorrow, and hopefully those loading times have gotten better. But remember when they told us that this game was supposed to be a seamless looter shooter? Remember that?
Yep.
I don't think it's seamless at all. Like I feel like everything that we thought about this game is completely the other way. And the reviews are coming out, it's like 6.5, 6 is even lower. Like the Metascore on this thing, or not the Metascore, I want to go to the Open Critic score. Let me check the Open Critic on this. Does it even have an Open Critic? Yeah, it does. 61. You know,
That's
61.
bad.
That's way lower than I bet EA expected. I mean, that's lower than Crackdown. So keep that in mind. Supersonic Station says game should be reviewed how it is at launch. The game is launched on PC. 100% agree. I don't like the apologist saying it's not launched. It is launched. I don't, you're not. I mean, I understand kind of where you're coming from, but I just don't agree with that.
There's something I want to address too, and
Yeah,
I
please.
think I could be wrong on this, but I've seen Mike Ybarra say a lot of stuff on Twitter. And I think it was in reference to Anthem. That's what a lot of people were getting at. And then there was a flip side to this. There's a lot of people in the diverse disability community that were complaining that the tutorials for Anthem were not very well done. Yeah, the tutorials were not, that they were terrible. And then we have people criticizing, saying, well, you shouldn't judge the game unless you know how to play it or you're good at it. But, on this stance, I'm taking the side of the people with disabilities and diverseness, because I just feel like if the game is not very well put out there to teach people how to play it, then unfortunately BioWare did a disservice for its own game.
Yeah, that whole combo thing, I don't think they put a single word into at least their first hour of gameplay to tell you how to combo.
Yeah, I don't think they did either.
Yeah,
I don't think they did either. Go ahead, Clown, sorry.
And I don't think Mike is taking a shot at anybody in particular, except journalists that were supposed to maybe play the game more thoroughly, and that's why he suggested watching videos and other people play it instead. But I just feel like that there's a real missed opportunity there for the developer, and maybe they should go back and fix that.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good because look at Apex, right? Look at the Apex tutorial. Like, obviously any tutorial, I feel like seasoned gamers don't want to sit through tutorials, right? Especially in games that feel familiar. Like, for instance, Apex, okay? I'm sliding through Apex. I'm like, dude, this is Titanfall. I know how to play this. Like, whatever. I know how to switch weapons. I know how to do this. I've played Battle Royales. I know you can loot boxes, all this stuff, right? But look how efficient everybody is at playing Apex, right? Look how everyone spots, even randoms. Look how people without mics are able to communicate so well. Look how people are able to use the special abilities and look how everyone kind of knows how to do everything right from the get-go. So nobody is disadvantaged based on not knowing the game. Like, there's something to be said about that in a tutorial that, what was it at Apex? Maybe 15 minutes? Granted, of course, I thought that was too long still because I just wanted to get into the game, but you know, I mean, how long in Anthem Assassin is the quote unquote tutorial? It's probably like closer to like 30 minutes. No?
Yeah, but as for Apex, like Respawn's has been good with like the tutorials, right? Because with COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2, you always had like the training run in Modern Warfare 2, or knife the watermelon in COD 4, and then in Titanfall 2 they had that run where you had to like jump from walls and practice your guns and stuff. Like they were always good with that, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, maybe they're just good at it and everyone else has to take a page out of their book, perhaps. I don't know. I think Anthem has one of the worst tutorials, and I think there's a lot of things you can do in Anthem that, unless you know how to do them, you don't really instinctively just think to do. Oh, and dogs are barking.
Yeah, and plus the text is, even if it pops on the screen, like it is, at least for me, it's hard for me to read the text when I'm playing the game. Even with like the colorblind options on, like a lot of things, like for instance the people, like with the green red or red green, like the people turn extremely pale, like I just dumped snow on them white, like really really white, and it's terrible looking. Like I don't want Casper the Ghost flying right by me, like it's bad.
Yep, I agree. Not very good. And in terms of the microtransactions, like I don't even think the microtransactions, I don't think it's really like, I mean, it's difficult to get some of the points, but the customization options for like the paints and stuff, I don't even think those are compelling as it is. So I'm not a huge like, oh, this game sucks because it doesn't have, the microtransactions are too crappy. Like we'll get into a game where that's becoming a situation, but like people complain about the microtransactions. I don't think that those are that bad. What do you think of those?
From what I heard at the beginning, they're very generous with coins. Till you get to the end game, which then they're not as generous, and the coins are tied to crafting. At least that's what I've heard. I'm not, I haven't played much of the game. So with having the microtransaction, coin type things being very low to earn, plus having everybody tied to crafting, you're kind of stuck. Do you earn just enough coins to earn something, or do you want to make your character better?
Right. I almost feel like it should take a page out of Destiny's book where they have like a million different currencies. As annoying as that is, in some regards it makes sense to not have the same currency for those two things specifically. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that about the end game being a little less generous. But I'm just in my experience with what you could do for customization at Fort Tarsus, I'm not even compelled to customize, honestly. I'm really not. I don't think it looks very good. It's like Evolve all over again. Remember Evolve with like the customizations were like $20 or like $10 or whatever it was, and ridiculous money.
So many of them too.
And they weren't even that good. Nope. So, anyway, let us know if you have anything else to say about Anthem, what you guys are thinking about it. I'm sure we'll talk about it again next week on the podcast because we'll have Cognito on, who's played it extensively. I definitely want to get his thoughts on that, and I also want to give it more of a fair share. So, all right. Next thing on the docket, Activision, Assassin's favorite company of all time. laid off 800 employees, posted an awesome financial report recently, and of course now they've got more aggressive loot crates. And for those who didn't know, there were loot crates already in Black Ops. A lot of people, I'm seeing that, and I liked your tweet earlier, Assassin. I liked it like immediately because I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, now there's loot crates. Now there's loot crates." Well, there were always loot crates technically, but tell us why they're a little more aggressive now.
Well, so in the past, they're like so there was loot crates. You only got them, at least in Season 2, past Tier 100. You earned these loot crates, you got through the tiers. It took you about an hour of in-game time to earn these things. You could get duplicates, blah, blah, blah. There was a bunch of items. And then now with Season 3, which just came out, they decided to have these reserve crates, it's $2 or 200 COD points for 3 items, which you can still earn duplicates. Past season stuff's in there. And then now, and to get these cases, they removed those cases from Tier 101 and up. So you cannot earn them from an hour of gameplay or use $1 to level up said tiers to get a crate. I'll get back to that in a little bit of that tiers. And now it takes 2 to 3 hours to earn a case, which is 1 item. Crates 3. Tiers 201 and up, you earn nothing. But you can still purchase those tiers. So you're literally paying $1 for nothing.
Other than some street cred, if you want to like post your screen and be like, "Hey, look what I got."
Yeah, like. What else? The tier system, to get kind of a little away from the loot crates, has, I think, 45% of those tiers are stickers.
Oh, good. I love stickers.
I think 20 of them are calling cards. And I think someone did the math or whatever. The items you actually see while you're in first-person mode, like normal gameplay, 4 or 5 of those items you actually see. So then all the crates, they give you blackout characters, which David Vonderhaar said you could earn every single character without paying. Or whatever, just by unlock missions. They've put this camo in. This is going to be so stupid, but Black Ops 3 had this system where when you got a camo on a gun, you unlocked it for that gun. You didn't unlock it for that class. You didn't unlock it for everything. So there's like 40-some guns in the game. So there's 40 different microtransactions for that camo. You get the reserve. The duplicate drops are very common. This season, because Xbox gets it a week later, I've got 50 reserve crates, or cases, I should say. Half of those are duplicates, and those items are only for Season 2, right? So that's still an annoying issue. What else am I forgetting here? Oh yeah, tier skips. This whole big thing that they wanted in the past, that they added another tier skip to zombies, is totally useless. You don't earn loot crates from doing that. And just imagine playing 3 hours and getting a duplicate item, just to play another 3 items to get another duplicate item, and how bad that would feel.
Yeah, it's like they're encouraging you to spend money a little bit more, I think, now that they've changed like the frequency, and they've also changed they're also like just pushing this stuff on you a little bit more, even though it was always in the game. It's just, now I feel like you just, unless you want to take that risk in getting a lot of duplicates, I feel like you're probably going to want to spend money, which is crazy.
Yep. Oh, and on top of that, I totally forgot about this. With Season 2, they implemented some guns. Well, since if you didn't earn those through the tiers, they removed your access from, earning those guns. Well, now they have Mark II versions, which are, you get like 25% XP or, whatever. It's a variant of a gun. It has no like game altering stats where like the SWAT, gets a nuke every 10 kills or whatever.
Yes.
Nothing like Infinite Warfare. But the only way to earn those weapons that were in the tiers is now through loot crates.
Yep. So pay to win, translation, essentially.
Yeah, in quotes, I mean, sort of pay to win.
Right.
Definitely for the people who can't play the game or got the game way later on.
Right. Unreal. Clowns, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, we got a $60 game that got a $50 season pass, and now, Activision decides to throw in some more aggressive loot crate buying. And I know you're a fan of microtransactions overall, but I mean, this kind of is a little scummy, no?
Well, I mean, once you pass the tier, Assassin says, even if you spend more money, you're not going to get anything. So I think that's kind of crummy. But, however, just pay to level up. Why not? If you're Yeti with 406 hours worth of loot crates, you can do it in this.
Oh, my God. I mean, dude, there are going to be people that are just, like, spending ridiculous amounts of money on this. And then they're just going to justify Activision doing this in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, people still buy. I wonder how many people bought the season pass for this time around, because the season pass model is kind of, especially in multiplayer games like this for like maps and stuff like that, has really gone the way of the dinosaur. And now they still have one, and people buy it, so it justifies them making them still have one. And then now there's more aggressive loot crates, and like Clowns is saying, a lot of people have money to do this kind of thing. Obviously, we've seen that in free-to-play games like Fortnite and stuff, where people have no problem paying for microtransactions. So I wonder how successful the microtransactions are going to be, Assassin. What do you think? Before we get off this topic, do you think it's going to be really successful, or you think it's going to flop for them?
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be successful, but I mean, look how many microtransaction systems there are. There's one for zombies. There's the blackjack shop. There's the tier system. Then there's the loot crates. Like, what else are they going to do now? If that's successful, they'll probably add another system into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because people are just still buying them, so they're just justifying it. But like, I just can't, from a company like this that just laid off so many people and just gave their CEO, what was it, like $15 million, Clowns? Something like that.
Yeah, like their new CFO, right?
CFO,
wasn't it their new CFO?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, to give that person a huge bonus after laying off employees, and then charging what they do for like the season pass still, and just giving having obviously a good financial report recently, and then now you've got more aggressive loot crate structure than you had before, where you could kind of get by and quote unquote earn everything, but now like we were just talking about with some of those guns with the special perks, it is technically, I guess, pay to win, right? So, all right, let's move on. Let's go to the next topic. Next topic is Metro Exodus, which I've had the pleasure of playing. Thank you, Deep Silver, for giving us a review copy. I'll be definitely posting a review on our website and talking about it on the podcast probably this week, and next couple of weeks probably be mentioning it, and hope to stream it as well, so look out for that. And if you haven't subscribed or rung the bell here on YouTube, please do that, because I'll probably be streaming it on YouTube. But Metro Exodus obviously is a visual masterpiece. Everyone kind of knew that already from the E3 presentations, where we saw, I think it was Microsoft, I think, has the marketing rights for this exclusively. I haven't seen any PlayStation stuff, but I know it was kind of exclusively on Microsoft's stage at E3. So, on the X, I'm sure it looks great. I have it for PlayStation 4 because I got the review code from Deep Silver. So, I've been playing it on there, and I've also seen some gameplay on PCs. Pretty strong hardware necessary for a game like this. And it is probably the best looking first person shooter on planet Earth, I would say. But other than that, I mean, obviously, it's kind of a situation. The way I think of it right now, from what I've played, is you come for the great visuals and you stay for the like awesome stealth gameplay, because if you've played Metro games before, that the shooting is pretty good. That they execute first-person shooting excellently. But this one takes it just a whole nother level. And I've probably got like 4 hours into it. And I agree with pretty much everyone that says that this is probably the best one that's come out, because those open world aspects that they've added to it, being able to come out from underground. The story follows Artyom, who is essentially living in this post-apocalyptic world. If you've played Metro, the post-apocalyptic world story. But traditionally, you've kind of like lived underground in Moscow in the quote-unquote Metro. That's why it's called that. But then this one's called Exodus because you're kind of going out from the Metro. You're kind of going out from the subway depths of the underground to explore the world above and see who's survived the in the post-apocalyptic world. And you see a vast variety of enemies and play styles. And from what I've experienced so far, it's just really awesome how many different kinds of enemies I've seen and how they kind of interact with the world. And some of the enemies jump out at you from nowhere. There's a lot of good jump scares and a lot of great like artificial intelligence from the different enemy types. It really is like a different experience all the way along the way. It's not repetitive at all. People in the chat saying Metro Exodus is so good. I'd make the case the best looking game on X. I haven't seen it on X, but I don't doubt it because it's definitely the best looking game on my PlayStation 4 Pro. I'll say that. Indie Gamer says Metro looks awesome. Definitely picking it up at some point down the line. I would definitely pick it up. Even for 60, it's worth it, I think. I mean, from what I've heard, you can complete the game in about 15 to 20 hours. If you're a completionist, it'll probably take like closer to 40. But keep in mind, it is a kind of a single player only shooter, and it does have a lot of open world aspects, but there's a lot of linear aspects as well. You're kind of, if you're used to the old gameplay, you'll love the linear sections, but it kind of takes you into the open world a little bit once you get out from underground. And not trying to spoil anything, but the open world aspects feel a lot like Metal Gear Solid, and Far Cry had a baby with maybe like Splinter Cell, because it really encourages you to be stealthy, but at the same time, like the open worldness of it lets you approach it from so many different angles instead of just like following the obvious angle, if that makes sense. So I don't know, you guys looking into I know you, Assassin, I think you have it. Clowns, you're looking to get it, right?
Yeah, I'm looking to get it on the X, and then if I can get that, hopefully sometime this week, I'm definitely gonna start playing it.
Yeah, I mean, I would jump right into it. I mean, it's so refreshing coming from something like Crackdown to play this. Like, it's unbelievable how much better. I mean, obviously it's going to look better. It's a little less ambitious when it comes to the open world, but even the open world segments look so good. And the difference, like the variety in the different areas that you go to, at least for what I've gone through in like the first 4 hours, just really, really on point. And the encouragement to be stealthy and to use like different gadgets to get past sections, like your lighter and your flashlight, use those kind of to your advantage instead of just like seeing and burning through areas. There are other, I don't want to spoil it, but there's other reasons you want to use those gadgets to defeat certain enemy types. I just really, really enjoy it. Big D Max 68 says Metro is a hardcore gamer's game. That's for sure. Yeah, it definitely is. You definitely have to stealth. You definitely have to stealth. Like in that regard, it's a lot like, Splinter Cell, where, if you can go in guns blazing, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. Especially in the first few sections of the game. I started off the game kind of going in guns blazing, and it was a huge mistake. Like even on normal difficulty, I was getting absolutely wrecked by some of like the crawling enemies that come out from the darkness. And once you shoot one, the AI is so strong, like they just know how to, the enemies kind of like communicate with each other a little bit, and once you shoot one, you're just gonna bring on like a whole mass of them. You know what I mean? You definitely want to try to get through without killing a lot of people. And so there's a lot of ways to do that. Even in the linear segments, there's a lot of ways to do that. It's kind of like Wolfenstein in that regard as well. The newer Wolfensteins, how there's kind of like multiple ways to go through the linear sections. You can like go up high, you can go low, you can sneak by through certain rooms or whatever. Even through linear sections, it's a lot like Big D Max also says he's struggling with the game. I mean, it's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, it's a challenging game, but it's a rewarding game as well. You know, like I said at the beginning of this segment, I think you come for the visuals, but you stay for the gameplay. You stay to like conquer it. You know what I mean? It's one of those games. So Assassin, you, I think you have the game on PlayStation as well. Have you checked it out yet? Or I know you were kind of, on your stream this week, you were kind of going through the earlier games first before getting to this one, since it is kind of like a true successor, right?
Yeah, I was going through them all. I just hope the Clowns watched a little this morning/afternoon, but I hope the stealth is so much better in Exodus than 2033. Because I had a huge problem with the stealth in 2033. I almost wanted like to rage quit. It was having a problem. Well,
I think what's better about the stealth in the newer game is that there's a lot of things at your disposal to kind of like distract more so than in the older game. Like actually in Metro 2033, I don't think I ever beat that, but I don't necessarily remember there being like a lot of tin cans and like other ways to like distract and hide yourself.
Well, it wasn't more like those tin cans and stuff. Like there was a time where I would just ADS at someone, you know, want to make noise. Everyone in this area knew exactly where I was.
Oh, it's not like, it's not like that in Exodus.
And then like I would kill someone like really up close, no one's around. I would stab them or throw a knife at them. Everyone knew I was there. I'm like, excuse me. Like that's not a stealth game. That's bullshit.
It's like, yeah. Oh my god, what game is that like? Oh my god, it'll come to me. There's like a game that I'm thinking of that. Oh my god, what is it? It's not Uncharted, but it's a game like that where like you post up somewhere and you just like make some noise and everyone just knows where you're at. Kind of like The Division in that regard too, a little bit. Don't you think in The Division that if you make just a little bit of noise or you fire like one bullet, they like everyone knows where you're at?
Yeah, but I mean that game's not supposed to be stealthy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. No, that's true. But yeah, I mean,
it was Far Cry, I believe.
Oh, Far Cry, yeah. It was Far Cry actually. Yeah, I knew it was a Ubisoft game, but yeah, I can't stand that. But in Exodus, it's not like that. In Exodus, you can distract very easily. You can throw them off your trail, I should say. But also, what's cool in Exodus is that there's like a very functional day and night cycle that I've noticed, that the enemies kind of move a little bit different during the night cycle than they do during the day cycle. And also, if you're having trouble getting through a section during the day cycle, you can kind of sleep and make it into nighttime, and then you can use the nighttime to your advantage. Like you can physically like screw light bulbs off, and you can shoot out lights and stuff, and you can stealth a lot easier at night in some sections.
Oh, that's really nice.
So that's kind of cool. But yeah, so some sections it's almost like encouraged that you just like sleep off the day and wait until nighttime to get through some sections. I mean, you can do it during the daytime, obviously, but yeah, I mean, that's just what I've encountered in the first 4 hours. I don't know if later on that same mechanic is kind of encouraged, but anyway, Metro is definitely a game that you should check out. I mean, 82 on OpenCritic right now. I would probably put it right around like an 8.5 from what I've played so far, and hopefully that score will just go up. But I'm looking forward to, getting the platinum on that. And I've been looking for a game like this to play on PlayStation. I'm kind of glad I got it on PlayStation, even though I know it looks better on X. But and my PC definitely can't run it. I heard a lot of people saying that they had the new RTX cards that they couldn't even play it. Like legitimately could not even play the game at 60 FPS. Like people are trying to play it at 1440p with all the settings maxed on a RTX 2080, which is like the second best card you can get, and they couldn't even play at 60 FPS. It was just that demanding. So, yeah. Which I believe. I mean, once you see it, you're going to be like blown away by the graphics. It's just so beautiful of a game. The lighting is just so amazing. But are you going to be playing on stream next week, Assassin? What do you think?
Most likely. I think I might, probably later in the week. I'm probably about halfway through 2033, so I think tomorrow I'll probably finish it, and then next week start the second one. Finish it.
Nice. All right, Clowns, you got anything more to say about Metro? Or, I mean, just obviously, big thank you to Deep Silver for sending us the code, and I know A4 has really put out a great game here, and I know Deep Silver is doing their best to kind of market the thing, and I think they've done a really good job. So thank you to them, obviously, for sending that over. But Clowns, you got anything else to say about Metro? Or
No, just I'm looking forward to checking it out, playing it on the X, getting some achievements. So that's pretty much it.
Nice. Awesome ringtone, by the way. Dude, I need to get a new ringtone. My ringtone's weak as hell. I need to get like a gaming ringtone of some sort.
Nope.
Wait, what's yours right now, Assassin? What's your ringtone?
Mine is the song from Uncharted 4. It's called,
What?
I think, The Thief's End. Yeah, it's a nice song. I like it.
Dude, bring that up. Bring that up so we can play it. Jizzle wants to know, are we going to talk about Tetris 99? No, we're not going to talk about Tetris 99. We'll wait until we have you on the show to talk about that. How about that, Jizzle? Since I know you're a huge Tetris fan. I don't think anyone in our audience really cares other than you about Tetris 99, to be honest.
Wait, you mean Tetris 1999? So outdated.
No, the new Tetris Battle Royale. I've been seeing.
Why is it called 99? I mean, it's kind of
99
misleading.
players, probably.
Yeah, you're playing against 99 people. Yeah, exactly.
So, where are we dropping, boys?
Oh, I got you.
When we get Jizzle on, we'll talk about that. But let's move into the last topic of the evening. Jizzle says Crackdown 3 looks like it was put out in 1999. That's not true, dude. Play it. That is absolutely not true. That's a huge misconception of the game. You know, the only people that say that are people who haven't played it. Not to rag on you, but if you have a 4K set that does HDR and you play it, you're not going to be, like, amazed necessarily by the sharpness or whatever, but you're definitely not going to think it looks like it's from 1999, I'll tell you that.
When Jizzle just said Crackdown 3 looks like it was put out in 1999, this is coming from the Jizzle who said that Agents of Mayhem appeared better to him. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that game was a
did
mess.
review better.
It did review better, yeah. True. Indie Gamer says Tetris 99 looks good, so yep, we're definitely gonna we'll have to have Jizzle on for a special episode to talk about Tetris 99. I guess there is an audience for that, but anyway, let's get to this, because I know Clowns has kind of been wanting to talk about this, because Clowns, I don't know if you got Just Cause 4 or not, but I know you were interested in it. Obviously, you guys played a lot of Just Cause 3, but Just Cause 4 came out in December of last year. Had a lot of stability issues, didn't play too well. A lot of people were ragging on it for the graphics, for the immersion, for a lot of the anti-aliasing problems, visibility problems. There was just a lot of things knocking Just Cause 4, especially when Just Cause 3 was so damn good by a lot of accounts. Like, a lot of people thought Just Cause 3 was one of the better games of the series, and now Just Cause 4 came out a couple months ago, I think in December. And they finally got an update, Clowns, and it's just like shadows and textures and waterfalls and stuff like that. I mean, did you happen to read this, what do you call it, the patch notes?
No, I haven't had a chance to read the patch notes. I saw some of the complaints, though, and they were complaining about stuff you could do in Just Cause 3 that you can't do in Just Cause 4 anymore. So I thought that was kind of disappointing, because I'm a huge fan of Just Cause 3, and I love the game, and I still think the game's worth the $60 price tag because it was so much fun. And I was all about to go into Just Cause 4, and then I started seeing all these complaints and all these bugs and now all these improvements coming in.
Dude, if you look at so by the way, Just Cause 4, not to like be blasting OpenCritic this episode. I feel like we've just talked a lot of OpenCritic, but OpenCritic's got it at like a 68. So not fantastic compared to prior games in the series, I should say. But Square Enix put out some patch notes, right? And like they're just not very good. Like the latest patch is just, you know, a lot of like graphical improvements in terms of like shadows and effects. It's not, you know, the anti-aliasing hasn't been really fixed. The, you know, stability wise, I mean, if you look at, you know, Digital Foundry's analysis, Just Cause 4, they knock it for bugs and stability. Not a lot of bugs and stabilities, you know, has been addressed. And it gets me wondering, like, our company is just focusing too much on like graphics these days, you know? Are they just worried about how the game looks and not really how it functions? You know, I feel like we got that with Anthem. We even got that with games like PUBG. You know, like PUBG, they were like really wanting that to be 4K on Xbox One X at launch, right? And then they get there and the game like just runs like trash, right? I feel like a lot of games have been just like fighting this war of visuals and not really addressing what needs to be fixed, which is like stability and rendering issues. And in this game, I mean, I haven't played it, so I don't really know, but from everyone I've talked to, Just Cause 4 is just a buggy mess that, you know, like things pop up out of nowhere, and you know the visibility is just way lower than the last game. So, so what do you guys think? Are people just are these companies just focusing too much on visuals and not on stability, or what?
Yeah, I think that we're all getting caught up in this craze of I want to push my box to the, you know, best graphical end that it can be. I want it to max out in graphical resources instead of just having fun playing the game. And I think that's become a big problem this generation. And it's causing a lot of crashes, a lot of issues, and you know, the fans are demanding it from the devs. The devs want to do it because the power is there. But let's just make a game that functions properly and can do okay graphics. It doesn't have to amaze me or be impressive. Let's just have fun playing the game without it crashing or lagging or frame rate issues. I mean, let's just get through that first.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It's like if you look at OpenCritic's score of it, it's like you positive sandbox mayhem, negatives bugs and performance. You know, like if that's one of the negatives that you're getting just over and over, overly knocked, you know, by multiple critics, how is that not something you address primarily? You know what I mean? Like if you look at the patch notes on Square Enix's site that got released late last week after what would have been our podcast on Valentine's Day, was released on the 15th. Like they're like, here's a preview of the changes we've been working on that you're going to get in the first patch, right? Okay. Well, the first big patch, right? First bold point, first header, improve vegetation. Like, are you kidding me? And then the first line of that section, right? Listen to this. Vegetation-related fixes have been a primary objective of our team for the team. Are you kidding me that is what the primary objective is? To put shadows on the vegetation? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. Let's worry about the vegetation, guys. Let's get that worked out.
And then you scroll down to the end where it's like it says more improvements to come, right? It says that's just some of the improvements. We're going to continue our efforts to provide even more fixes for Just Cause 4, such as stabilization improvements. Oh, that should probably be number one, actually. That should probably be the first thing you put out, you know? And I just feel like that, like, companies are just pushing out buggy messes that look good, thinking that they're gonna grab a sale on something that looks good. You know,
well, I feel like they did that to, or you know, push these patches out first, because what if, you know, they fix the game right, no bugs, stability's good, and then they push out these plant textures and whatever, and then it just ruins the game. You know, like, I don't know.
No, I hear you. That's a nice that is a good devil's advocate argument, because, you know, who knows what kind of things in development will break games, obviously. But, you know, me personally, you know, if I got a game that looked like trash but ran like very well, you know, I'd knock that game less than a game that looks incredible or runs like trash.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
But I see what you mean. Like that's actually a good devil's advocate argument that I didn't even think of, because who knows, that maybe even something as simple as improving the shadows and the vegetation and make visibility better, maybe that would break all the hard work that they put into making it more stable. Not bad. That's not a bad take on that, but it's just incredible how the patch notes, like, they just post picture upon picture about the shadows and the shrubs and stuff, and then at the end it's like, oh, we're working on making it more stable.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does suck, but it probably takes less work to optimize the game than to add better textures and then have it be broken and then to optimize it again. And you could just optimize it once and twice.
Yeah. I hear you on that. That says they're looking in future updates to overhaul the anti-aliasing solution and improve overall visual fidelity and remove some of the noise that become apparent in high contrast lighting. Like, if you're gonna work on the game looking good before you work on the stabilization, you probably should work on stuff like that versus like shrubbery. Like, ooh, look at this plant and how realistic this plant looks. Like, come on. Or waterfalls now exit. This is literally a point in the patch notes. Waterfalls now exit rivers in a more realistic manner. Like,
how were they exiting before?
Exactly.
Did they go in the opposite direction? Like...
Oh my god. Unbelievable. There have been various graphical fixes to rivers, such as improved foam.
Yeah, because you sit at the edge of a river and like, this foam looks awesome. I love this foam. I need more foam. Give me foam. And
now fish are spawning underwater, so you can go check out all those fish.
Ooh, fish AI?
Are they going to allow fishing? Is that in the game?
No, I don't think they're putting that in the game. I think they just wanted fish to be in there for some reason. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable what's in these patch notes. I just can't believe that these companies are just focusing on stuff like this when the game just runs like poo.
Game that should have just came out a year later.
Yeah, right? Why was there another Just Cause so soon? When I saw this game announced, I was kind of like, whoa, this is way too soon.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad.
Wow, that was really good, actually. Let me see, Just Cause 3. When did that come out? If it'll load. Okay, great. Just Cause 3 came out in December of 2015. So, I mean, I guess it's been 3 years, but... I mean, Just Cause... I thought it was only 2 years. Wow. I can't believe it's been 3 years since Just Cause 3. Okay, forget it. Forget what I said about that. Anyway, that game reviewed a lot better, obviously, than Just Cause 4, which is pretty sad. And like Clowns was saying earlier in the segment, there are people just bitching left and right. If you go on Reddit, if you go on the Just Cause subreddit, you'll see people bitching left and right about things that just aren't available in the later game that were available in Just Cause 3. It's just bitching left and right. But anyway, if you guys have been watching and you have something to say about this Just Cause topic, definitely leave a comment below. Hit us up on Twitter. I haven't played Just Cause 4, so I can't really, knock it too hard for how badly it performs. Like, obviously I haven't played it, so I don't really know, but I have watched plenty of videos on it because I was very interested in getting it after seeing like the reveal trailer and all that stuff. I thought the game looked incredible. I thought it was gonna definitely be like close to a 90 meta, honestly, from seeing the trailer, but obviously not. So let us know what you guys think, if you guys are fans of the game, if you guys have been playing it. It was $40 recently, so it's dropping in price a little bit. Clown, you were looking for deals on it recently, weren't you?
Yeah, I think the last deal I saw in the Xbox store was $40.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's gotten cheaper since then with all these complaints. I mean, if it goes down to 30, I'll probably pick it up, and I'll probably still enjoy it, even if it runs like poo.
Yeah.
Because I like Just Cause 3, and some of the explosions ran like poo at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chief Tommy says he thought it was a last gen game. Nice. No, Just Cause 3 was. I don't think that was a cross gen release. It could have been. Did that come out for 360? No,
I don't think so.
I don't think it did either.
No.
Anyway.
Wow, $32.99.
Yep.
On PC with DLC from CD keys.
Yep. I just saw that. I was just gonna say that actually. Literally, was just about to say that. So yeah, that game's dropping in price. I mean, that has Black Friday written all over it for me. So, but I know you guys are fans of the Just Cause series a lot more than me, so I'm kind of surprised you haven't gotten it yet. But after reading what I've read in preparation for this podcast and watching the videos, I'm like, yuck, forget it. All right, other than that, I think we are done for this week. You guys have anything else?
Nope.
Well, I'm going to petition, and hopefully Jizzle will sign this. I need a Pipe Dreams 99 for the Game Boy version, but on the Switch Battle Royale.
There you go. There you go. Start the petition. Go to change.org or whatever. Start your petition. Where's Daz when you need him? Post that link, Daz. Post that link. Come on now. Anyway, so yeah, other than that, I think we're done. Definitely check out our website. Has been changing. What is the URL for the site, Clowns?
It's going to be 4GwQTV.com. I still got a lot of stuff to take out of there because we had a template designer, so it's got some filler stuff, but I'm slowly adjusting all that, and that's going to be our new site.
Perfect, yeah. So you're going to want to check out that. We're going to start posting reviews a little more regularly, I think, on there too, because it's going to look a lot better. So Clowns already posted a Crackdown review. Check that out. Also, it was we're on OpenCritic as well, so our reviews are on there. Obviously, you're watching us on YouTube probably, so if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We've gotten a lot of subscribers recently, so thank you guys so much for subscribing. We've seen a big uptick in subscribers recently. Appreciate that. Find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. Just search 4GwQPodcast. You'll find us everywhere. Our names have been cycling below our heads here, below our pictures. So follow us on those. If you're playing Apex, you want to pick up another person, we're usually down, other than Assassin, who's been crying about it recently.
Well, I haven't been crying.
Yeah, he has. And I'm very surprised because he was really into that game for like the first 2 days, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened to him.
Dude, honestly,
he was like
honestly, I would be upset too if I thought blue and purple were the same thing. So, I mean, I kind of get it, but at the same time, I'm sad that Assassin doesn't want to play anymore. We need to get him back on there. So if you're on Xbox and you see his name on and you want to play some Apex, just spam him with invites so he eventually goes on, please.
Assassin, even if the colors got you confused, if you stare at it, it tells you what it is.
Yeah, but the red pings for enemies don't tell me what it is.
Oh, they literally don't show up for you, right?
We could change it to the orange ping. We could just ping it like it's a movement place.
That's true.
I mean, I still have other problems with the game other than colorblind, but
yeah, I mean, there's problems, but at least that game's free to play, not a $60 title. Anthem.
Peacekeeper got nerfed, Assassin.
Yeah,
that's not the problem I have with the game.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely hit up Assassin if you want to play some Anthem. I mean, not Anthem.
What?
Sorry,
Anthem?
Not Just Cause either. Damn it, Apex. Lost my train of thought there. Hit up Assassin if you want to play that. Also hit up Assassin if you're looking to get rid of a Nintendo Switch because he's in dire need of one. What else? Other than that, Clowns has been doing the 4GwQPodcast Presents podcast. Check those out. We've had a couple episodes post since we last did our main show here. So check those out on our YouTube channel. And yeah, other than that, I think we're done. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.